Everyone, good morning. I'll try not to vomit anything at you, I think, if I can, because that wouldn't be a great welcome to Manchester. This is your official welcome. Welcome back to the Beyond conference. We're really delighted to have you again. We know we've got delegates from all over the UK. I was told 16 countries around the world. Thank you, British Council, for bringing all of these guests to our city region. You'll hear from the Mayor of Salford. We're in Salford right now, but we're both really, really proud to welcome you. This is the most creative, most vibrant, fastest growing city region in the UK. So this conference is absolutely happening in the right place. And we've had a really fantastic year since you were last here. We've even gone further than the coup we achieved some years ago, attracting the hottest DJ property from London, a certain Nihal Arthanaika, to come and base himself in our part of the world. We are getting ready, ladies and gentlemen, to host the Brit Awards early in 2026, the first time out of London. That is a clear passing of the cultural power beacon, isn't it, from south to north. That was meant to annoy all the Londoners in the audience. I hope I've successfully done that. But we are in a really good moment here. And I want to just explain a little bit more about that and where creativity fits within it. In fact, it doesn't just fit within it. It's the thread that runs through all of it, given the kind of place that you are all gathered in today. So I said a moment ago, we're the fastest growing city region. Well, over the last decade, when we've had devolved power here, we have achieved average annual growth of 3.1%, which is a massive thing, given if you go back 20, 30 years, where you are now, there was not much here at all. You know, we'd seen wide deindustrialisation across the 10 boroughs of Greater Manchester. So a turnaround that began in the mid-90s is really now coming through strongly, and we're very proud to have achieved a growth rate double the UK average. We're closing the north-south divide, so it's a very exciting place to be right now. Last week we put out a new good growth plan for Greater Manchester. Building on this, we're going to take this prosperity and growth to all parts of the city region. But what we mean by good growth is not having the profit siphoned out of here and taken elsewhere, but making sure that wealth gets reinvested into good jobs, good homes for our residents, and that's the Greater Manchester way, that's the Greater Manchester plan going forward. But we now also, though, have to get more focused on our industrial strengths and the way in which we're going to build the Greater Manchester economy going forward. And another big development from last year is that the Department for Culture, Media and Sport has named Greater Manchester as one of its creative clusters following the industrial strategy. We now have funding to build that out, and the organisation I lead, the Greater Manchester Combined Authority, has recently said that the creative industries will be one of our 5 industrial strengths. So advanced materials and manufacturing, digital tech and AI, number 2. Number 3, low carbon. Number 4, life sciences. And number 5, creative industries. And it's great that we're going to be publishing today or tomorrow or in the next few days a sector development plan for creative industries to show you how we're going to do that. And we're going to do it in a very Manchester way, reinvesting in our grassroots, in our talent. So that's where we find ourselves at this moment in time. And I in my presentation to you this morning, I just wanted to make 3 points, really, that kind of build on what I've just said. The first is that we have to build, I think, a modern creative ecology and ecosystem here that supports where the industry is right now. Obviously, you know, we've got the BBC nearby, ITV on site here at MediaCity, but we recognise that the world is changing out there, and we need to think of new ways in which we bring through creative talent in our city region. So we're going to put in place our own infrastructure now to support our ambitions. For instance, we'll be opening a music export office soon, recognising that for our musicians, and we're a proud music city, Brexit has made it harder for them to get known around Europe and around the world. So we're going to give them more backing through that. We're going to open a screen office, again, recognising that from the heyday of Granada in the 1970s and 80s, the screen sector here has become a little more fragmented. So we're going to bring it back together with a new screen office and production fund. And we want to make sure that that money gets down to the small independent individual freelancers as well as supporting the big production. So all of that is coming through. We've got an infrastructure here that is incredible. Aviva Studios, the School of Digital Arts at Manchester Metropolitan University. So we've got the assets, Space Studios out in Gorton, but we need to bring them together now into an infrastructure. And there's a serious point here that I would want you to think about as this gathering kind of proceeds. And it's how we make sure in a world where the big powers in the land maybe aren't as powerful as they once were, how the commitments to regional production are maintained. The risk is, as the media industry retrenches a little and changes and finds it difficult, it almost retreats to London. And I kind of see that at risk of happening, particularly in the music industry. I think that is something we observe. The key is to keep making sure that we're bringing that investment out into places like this, where you find that raw working class talent that has always come through and made British creative output what it is. So we need to keep a regional balance as Greater Manchester develops in the next decade, and that's what our plan will achieve. The second thing I wanted to talk about is the risk of there becoming a class divide within the creative industries. And I mentioned this last year, but I think this is a real risk. Again, as the industry changes and breaks down and fragments, there is again a risk that young working class talent can't find its route through. And the work experience opportunities fall into the hands of those who are already connected in certain parts of the country. You know, a lot of young people here can't afford to work for free to get their foot on the ladder. So what do we do about that? So we want to embed creativity in education and create strong, clear paths into the creative industries for our young people. And we think there's a load of work to be done there to make that a reality. And again, I would want this conference to innovate in that space and to think about how can we do it? How can a young person growing up in Salford get a clear line of sight to jobs in the creative economy in Greater Manchester, and then the support along that path to be able to take up those opportunities. We've had a real breakthrough in the last month or so where the curriculum review here has put creativity back into the heart of the curriculum, and that's a really good thing. But we need to go beyond that and ask the industry to do more. I have a tool, an online tool, linked to 7 strong sectors in the Greater Manchester economy where young people can use it to see jobs in those sectors and then the opportunities before them in relation to apprenticeships or T-levels, and so they can plot a path. It's really noticeable to me that of those 7 sectoral paths, the creative industries path is the weakest. It's the weakest in terms of opportunity, in terms of structured support for young people to progress. And I think as an industry, we need to do something about that, collaborate to create those first opportunities for people, to make sure there is financial support for young talent to progress and then to find its way into those pathways. Because if we don't, we won't just have a regional divide in our creative industries, which has always been there and is still there, and it could get wider. The class divide could get wider too, and that's not something that we in this city region want to see. And we're looking to all of you to help us fix that and create the pathways into the MBAC, the Greater Manchester Baccalaureate, so that truly the creative industries are open to everybody. The final thing I would say is a very positive thing around what this conference is all about, innovation and creativity, and really rethinking how we can embed it in everything that we do. We're bringing forward here a Live Well programme, which is about supporting our residents differently every day, breaking beyond the silos of the NHS and DWP. We believe a Live Well movement from the grassroots is what we need to do. We're very proud here that we are a national centre of excellence for music and dementia. And I really believe we need to think about how do we embed creativity in people's lives so they can be supported to live well. And I think that's a really positive opportunity that's in front of us as Greater Manchester because of the nature of our devolution arrangements. So I guess what I'm saying is creativity in people's everyday lives, in education, but crucially running through our industry as well, because the creative industries will be supported by innovation in AI and indeed in life sciences as we understand the benefit of music therapy and all of those things in relation to dementia. So it's about knitting it all together as a true creative city region. That's what we believe we are, but we aspire to be even better at, where it is, as I say, running through every single thing that happens in this city region. And I'll finish just by kind of saying, you know, for us it's been a sad week in some ways. You may know that we lost one of our icons here, Manny, Gary Mounfield from the Stone Roses, who was very much loved in these parts. Loved because if you go back to the 1980s, and this was very much my time when I was growing up here, when the industry had gone, he and they gave us something back. They lifted us up off the floor. That's what creativity can do. It can kind of instill pride back where it has been taken away. It can give people hope where there is none. And that's what happened here in the 1980s. We kind of lifted ourselves up through creativity. That's how Manchester started to find its foothold again in that post-industrial period and start to build the confidence of our people and our places that we could be something again, that we had something that the rest of the world wanted to see. And that is what happened here in the late 1980s going into the 1990s. The challenge now is to look at it from the other end of the telescope, because actually as you do start to grow and become more successful from an economic point of view, you can see creativity driven out of cities as rehearsal spaces get turned into flats or venues get closed down and the kind of process of gentrification takes place. But we're not going to let that happen here. We now want to sort of kind of learn from everything we went through in the 80s and the power of creativity, but bring it back into a modern economy in every respect, and making sure that everybody can access jobs within it, and that the whole of the system supports a creative city region in every possible way, supporting our residents with creative opportunity every day. So that's us, and hopefully that appeals to you, and hopefully it explains why this conference is back again this year, and we hope to welcome you all again. I just think open your minds to all of those things. How do we use creativity in what is now, let's be honest, quite discontented, divided world that we live in? How do we really use the power of it now to give every opportunity to every young person, to give a quality of life to everyone, every older person, but also to build an economy, a modern economy that is thriving and growing, but growing in a good way, where we're reinvesting things back for the benefit of our residents. That's the place you're in, ladies and gentlemen. Greater Manchester is a place that's about good growth, economic and social progress together. We always have been, we always will be. You're in the right place. Have a great conference. Thank you very much indeed for listening.